Sanibonani nonke, it's Penuel the Black Pen coming to you guys live on Facebook on Saturday morning, the 17th of September. Woke up this morning and I read a few articles about Cyril Ramaphosa being in the United States of America, of which from there is going to be going to the United Kingdom to attend the funeral of the late Queen Elizabeth. Along with that, I also ended up watching I hadn't seen it, but I ended up watching the speech of Rob Hersov at the BizNews conference that came out with a very provocative title, Futek ANC, of which in that speech he mentioned my name as well, along with a whole host of other people's names. I watched a 23-minute speech on YouTube. Decided to go online a bit, read a few articles, decided that I'm going to do this live. Number one, I need to clean out my phone. I don't want to be doing lives like this in the way that they get done. I think the camera quality generally is not great. Number two, when I'm live on Facebook and on YouTube, there tends to be reconnection issues, and I'm not sure if it's the things I say. I'm not sure if it's my account that's flagged or if it may be my Wi-Fi connection, but I'd like to stream in better quality. So I'm going to try and clean out my phone, and I need to purchase cameras and microphones that I can travel with on a daily basis to do content like this, speaking to camera, and also to do ad hoc interviews with anyone that I meet that I think is interesting. So if there are interruptions to this feed, if the quality is not great, I do apologize. It is something that I will be working on. A gentleman known as Bruce Robertson wrote an article on the Rob Hersov speech. Bruce Robertson is a Ugandan cotton ginner. I hope that's the right way to say it. And a KwaZulu Natal South Coast surfer. He wrote a scathing, I think that's the right English, scathing article on News 24 or opinion piece with the title, Rob Hersov, a graceless charlatan and patronizing paper tiger. I read the article, read the opinion piece. I thought it had maybe 10 to 20% truth to it. And then I thought a lot of it was not true, frankly garbage, and some of it very hypocritical. And I felt a need to maybe respond to that article as well. I have been criticized for a chunk of my life now. Let's call it varsity years when I started working as a graduate. The last 5 to 10 years in particular. I'm 36 years old now. I've been criticized by many people for being, I don't know if too honest is the word, but brutally honest about my opinions and perspectives of things, even when I've been wrong. So still my truth because I didn't have better information. I've been criticized for calling out even my own friends and family members. And I've had to learn over time that there are certain people around me that I need to protect. I hate it. I hate it. But I understand. In a country of 60 million South Africans, in a continent with over 1 billion Africans, in a world with over 7.8 billion people, if you've got 20 friends and you go around bashing your friends, especially on public platforms where those people don't know you, they don't know your friends, they don't know your family, and they don't care. If anything, they'll get entertained by you dragging your partner, the mother of your child, the father of your child, your mother, some of your close friends, because it's cool to do so because everyone else is doing it. They don't care. They're entertained. Rob has become a friend in the last year. Friendships are different, of course. There's basic acquaintances, people you've met, don't really know very well. People that you've met and you've spent a little bit of time, you've shared personal thoughts, feelings, maybe some secrets, shared some resources, be it money, a meal, trip together. Rob has become a recent friend. I understand the racially charged past we have as a nation. And of course, I'm a relatively young black African guy. Rob is a older white English lad whose family, very wealthy, a beneficiary of, this is tough. I don't know if I could say he's a beneficiary of the apartheid system. A beneficiary would mean that the apartheid system gave birth to their wealth. I don't know if that's true, but they definitely benefited from apartheid policies. And you can only imagine the lack of competition that they enjoyed because of apartheid policies. So if that makes them a beneficiary of apartheid, sure. He is a beneficiary, him and his family are beneficiaries of apartheid policies and the system. So when I say he's a friend, when I say we've built a good relationship, I have to add, of course, the fact that he's funded to a very small degree. Herman Mashaba, I think, calls it 20,000 Rand. Herman Mashaba in Action Essay. I think he backs Musi Maimane. I'm not sure if he has funded him at all. I know he's done some work with Gayton McKenzie. Explicitly, he helped organize the toilets that Gayton McKenzie replaced in the Central Karoo when he was getting rid of the bucket system there. So he's seen as a capturer. It's got a picture with Julius Malema of the EFF. I think with Lord Renwick. I'm not sure if it was in South Africa or in the UK. I think he was there. He either organized the meeting between the guys or he happened to be there at the same time. So he's seen as this capturer. And it obviously doesn't help in the way he speaks with this superiority complex. You know, he speaks with matter-of-factly, obviously swears like a pirate like myself, which is one of the things that allows us to get along. We vibe on the fuck, shit, bullshit type of language. He went to Michael House, very proud Michael House old boy. He also went to the Ridge, which I think is the most expensive primary school in Joburg. Very proud Michael House boy. I think he went to UCT, was overseas. So obviously it becomes odd and people have these assumptions that Rob has captured me. And it's been painful over the past year defending myself on Twitter, defending myself on Facebook, defending myself on YouTube videos, saying Rob has not captured me. I'm no one's puppet. He has not given me money. But because by and large a lot of black people are racially charged, sensitive, have inherited trauma from the past, and look at people like Musi, Herman, Cyril Ramaphosa, and others as puppets of rich white people. So it only holds that they would assume the same of me. No matter what I say, no matter how I criticize, I have no chance. I've been dragged the past 2 weeks because my interview with Rob on the Penwell show came out last week Monday, or this past Monday, along with the speech now that dropped. I'm a Rob Hersov puppet, myself and Tlantla Lux. We've got a picture with Rob. When I first met Rob in Joburg at Melrose Arch, we had a meeting at the same time with Tlantla Lux. That's where I met with Tlantla Lux for the first time. And obviously we are these projects for rich white people. He's got us in our pockets, in his pockets. And he tells us what to do. And people that don't know me from a bar of soap are saying, oh, I've changed. I used to be pro-black ever since I met Rob. Now I'm a non-racialist. It's disheartening because it takes away my freedom of thought, takes away my freedom of expression. It takes away any respect that I have for myself and that other people have for me. And the sadder part is that it exposes the inferiority complex of a lot of black people who are probably telling me that, Penwell, if I was in the same position as you, I'd probably ask Rob for money and I'd be a puppet. Or even worse, they do not believe that a young, relatively young black person can have his own opinions and thoughts next to a rich white person. Are you guys so scared of your own greatness? Are you so scared of your own power Do you not understand that it is possible for me to be myself around money? What does that say about you and how you view money and how you view people with money? Alas, we're not the same. Most people, of course, are sheep. We know this. Most people are slaves to money. Yeah, and everything that comes with it. Like I said, people are carrying a lot of trauma from apartheid and from their current poverty, which hasn't been helped by the ANC. But Rob has become a friend, and I have to try in various ways to defend my friends where I can. Where I can't, I mustn't. Rob swears a lot. Can't defend that. That's a fact. Rob disrespects and bashes the ANC and ANC leaders. Of course, for fuck's sakes. Rob is wrong to drag Cyril, Begitele, Gwede Mantashe, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and others. I don't know if he's wrong. I bash Cyril quite a lot, along with a lot of you. He came in with great promise, businessman, spoke well, and he's been disappointing from the get. From when he quoted Huma Segela's Tuma mina yesizwe. It has become apparent that when he said Tuma mina, he wasn't asking South Africans, normal South Africans, to Tuma him, and it was probably asking a certain group of people that have funded him to send him. We still don't know who those people are because, unfortunately, our captured legal system refuses to unseal his bank statements. So we left guessing. Gwede Mantashe, I don't know much on. I know he's a very charismatic, funny timer with a big belly and sharp jokes or timer jokes. Holds holds the power source of giving out mining licenses. So he becomes a key figure for mining in this country. And arguably, he probably has a lot to say or he has some links to certain people that are in the mining mafia. The mines in this country are run by cartels. Maybe Rob has an idea because maybe his family understands how to get mining licenses, how that works, and he's not happy with how Gwede handles himself. Begitele has been disappointing. When it used to be stomach in, chest out, shoot to kill, we all loved him. Time Ondosi with the hat, who was looking like he was coming to clean up South African police services and we were going to get crime reduced in this country. And it's become a mess. The crime rates in this country seem to be going up. Begitele, when an activist, white South African in the Western Cape, called him to task, instead of engaging this guy, decided to shout at him and kick him out of the room. That's Ian Cameron of Action Society. Not a good look. Seems to not really care, seems to protect himself, seems to have just become another politician. So, is Rob wrong to disrespect and bash them? We do it all the time on Twitter. Is it maybe because Rob's brand, title, who he is, his wealth or his family's wealth, maybe because he's so wealthy, he's not allowed? You can't say that, Rob. Let Penwell say it. Penwell's not rich. He's a young black guy, so he speaks for young, black, angry people. But Rob is like, no, I'm going to speak for myself. If not me, then who? And yes, I come from a rich, privileged background because my grandfather made a lot of money. But if not me, then who? And Rob can't speak from the perspective of a poor black person because he's not a poor black person. He's speaking from the opinion of growing up with money. It would be refreshing to hear more people like Rob share their views. Johan Rupert sat with Given Mkari and he tried to share his thoughts around South Africa, the leadership at the time. He got dragged. You guys did well in cancelling him. You won. He hasn't spoken out since. Amandla, we've silenced the capitalist, the face of white monopoly capital. If you silence him, what do we learn? What do we gain? There may be so many thoughts in his head that are wrong, that are oppressive, but we'll never know because he won't share them with us. Versus a Rob, for example, who can speak to me and I can tell him, but I don't agree with that, Rob. I think that's rubbish, and I think you're speaking from an ignorant perspective. He was overseas for a while in the United States, working for Rupert Murdoch, in Europe, at some point working for Johan Rupert and building his own businesses there, a lot of which failed. But he allows for open engagement. Other wealthy people or beneficiaries or descendants or heirs of rich families in this country, they don't speak out. I'd like to have a one-on-one with Andila Ramaphosa, Tumelo Ramaphosa, and hear their thoughts on their father's rise to greatness, how they feel about the country. Duduzane Zuma's putting his hand up to lead, so he's being probed and pushed to tell his views, what he thinks about the country, the ANC, people that are rich. Patrice Mutsipe's son is running Sundowns now. We'd like to hear his thoughts. What about the children of Johan Rupert? What about the children of Christo Visa? What about any children of Michael Leroux of Capitec? Or any other children of wealthy people? Sim Dope, son of Robert Gumede. And others. There's a whole lot more, of course. We'd like to hear their thoughts. Rob is saying, look, I didn't build this great company, AngloVaal. My grandfather did. My father ran it. When my father asked me to run it, I said, I want to do my own thing. That's a familiar story. A lot of kids. Father owns a Matexi, supermarkets, a funeral parlor. Your father's maybe in tenders. Your mother maybe has a big catering business. And she says, you must run this. And you say, no, thanks, mom. I'd like to do my own thing. But when you come back and you're obviously driving a Mercedes Benz and you step out of a mansion, people, your mom, your dad. Yes, of course. Own it. Rob owns it. My family's done well. But I've also walked my own path and I've failed. Am I not allowed to have a voice? As soon as my family becomes well off, as soon as I become well off, does it mean I lose my freedom of speech and can only speak in a certain way according to what you guys expect of rich people? Ooh, he swore. Ooh, he criticized the president. It's not fair. That's not fair. We need to stop canceling people and stop shutting them down and muzzling them from speaking their truth or their opinions, even if their truth and opinions are wrong. How will we learn? Rob Hersov is getting a lot of support and people agreeing with him. Would you have ever known how many people feel like that if he didn't stand up and speak? And the fact that he lived overseas, does that now mean he can't come and speak? What about all your black politicians that were in exile and then came back to leadership positions? Are they wrong? What about other people who have gone out to study, work overseas, that come back and want to be patriots and want to fix South Africa? Are they wrong? Bruce Robertson speaks about a horror show of Rob Hersov speaking at the BizNews conference. I was supposed to be at the BizNews conference. Rob had organized a ticket for me to be there. He wanted me to be there. This is how capturing works. Capturing 101. He wanted me to be there because he likes that I'm a thinker. He likes that I'm an alternative voice and that my brand is growing, especially on alternative media, not mainstream media. Radio, TV haven't come knocking to hear my thoughts because I swear and it's inappropriate, because I say supposedly controversial things. And that's actually why alternative media and platforms have risen. I've said before that I have issues with whether it's DJ Smooth's Hustler's Corner, the virtual Nkuku that I'm running now, Kululeko on Culture, Podcast and Chill, Unpopular Opinion on Tsigi Mazwai, and all other podcasts in this country. I'm worried about them turning into copies of mainstream media. If I'm going to be sitting with DJ Smooth and sorry, my live feed has started doing this reconnecting thing. I hope it's not going to last. What did I press? Sorry. You're breaking up badly, man. Network is bad. I did say I don't like going this live thing, and I'm not sure if it's the social media platforms that are throttling me or if it's my own Wi-Fi. I apologize for that. I hope you can hear my voice. My voice might be more important. I was saying that it's gonna upset me if I'm sitting with DJ Sbu and I can't swear. If I'm sitting with Mac G and we can't criticize alternative sexuality. If I'm sitting with Nkululeko and we can't discuss politicians or big business and some of the foulness. Because then we would have become mainstream media, and what the hell is the point? What the hell is the point? So, Capture 101. Rob had invited me to the BizNews conference. I was busy at the time, so I couldn't make it. The plan was obviously for me to meet some of the people there. So I was going to help boost my profile, network with them, hopefully get on some of their platforms, hopefully be able to access them so that I can invite them to my platforms and build a bridge between my voice, my thoughts, and them, with the hope that I can also build a bridge, which I guess I have, with the people on the ground, their frustrations, their thoughts, and be able to speak more accurately. I'm in a WhatsApp group, or I was in a WhatsApp group. I've left it 3 times because they keep pissing me off. I was added to a WhatsApp group with Rob Hersov and some of his friends, and there's a couple of black people there, some that you may know that are well off, that are well known. Sorry, a couple of white people and other races. I've been pissed off because I raised certain thoughts about how people on the ground feel, and there's so much ignorance and denialism by some of the people there. And myself and Rob argue there a lot, swear at each other on the group, because we have differences of opinions. When I met up with Gaten McKenzie a couple of weeks ago in Cape Town, he was also saying, Rob and I argue a lot. And I tell him there's a lot that he doesn't know, and that he won't understand because his perspective is different. And again, I applaud Rob for being able to be open, to being criticized, to being debated, for people to have difference of opinion and still be willing to engage them and try and understand. Rob speaks in his speech on how he's lost friends, how his friends are like, you can't say that, you're controversial. It reminds me of a mentor of mine, Kulufelo Maponya, who I also interviewed on the panel show, and how he's been criticized as a black man. Oh, privilege. So he was born into privilege as well, with his father, Matume Maponya, building a great business, along with his brother, the late Dr. Richard Maponya. And now Kulufelo is also this kid who was born into money. So he won't understand, but he's black. He's not allowed to criticize politicians. And he's like, but it's my opinion. He's called controversial. He swears at times. I've been in WhatsApp groups with him as well, where we've both been kicked out for opinions. And he's currently fighting the PIC in a case where it seems like he's being throttled because he's seen as a Zuma apologist at a time when he was like, kudos to Zuma for opening doors we couldn't get into. And it's like when he applauds Cyril for certain things that he says, he gets criticized by people who are Zuma fans. Can I not have freedom of speech? Can I not have my own opinion? Am I forced to pick one side or the other? Just because I'm well off? Just because I come from a successful family? Anyhow, we cancel and we muzzle very wealthy people, very influential people, people that create hundreds and thousands of jobs, that pay millions of rands, multiples of millions of rands in tax every year, and that have access to your political leaders, your religious leaders, other business leaders. You guys muzzle them so that they can't speak. Even if they talk shit, let them speak. That's why we love Donald Trump, because he was being honest. You may not like his honesty. You may think he's racist, but the fact is he was brave enough to be honest so that we can actually hear the thoughts of himself and some of his followers. When you get a Joe Biden who is not honest, when you get Patrice Motsepe who doesn't even do interviews about his thoughts, when you get a Cyril Ramaphosa who refuses to answer questions about Phala Phala, about who funded him, There's so much fakeness and dishonesty, and when a person is honest, they get dragged. Welcome to my life. Welcome to the Penwell Show. And I've realized how important it is to be honest and to fight for your truth, because it liberates others to, number one, agree with you, to, number one, share their truth, and to also be able to, if they're scared, use you as a shield. They may agree with you, but they'll never say it was me. They'll say, oh, hey, Penwell said this, so that they can hear how other people feel. Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle, Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, muzzled, can't tell the truth, can't be honest. Today I'm learning that platforms, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, pick up on some of the words that you say in your video and begin removing videos. The algorithm stops sharing your content with other people. They shadow ban you. Soon as you mention certain trigger words. Alternative media is becoming problematic. Andrew Tate has moved on to a platform called Rumble. At some point they were saying Joe Rogan should do the same. He had the Spotify deal where a lot of other people were leaving Spotify, artists, musicians. Now we will leave in protest. So clear that Spotify stood their ground. Of course, because Joe Rogan makes them money. A lot of people from the LGBTQI community wanted Dave Chappelle's specials removed from Netflix. Kudos to Netflix for sticking it through. Of course, Dave Chappelle made them money. But we then get to hear alternative voices. Anyways. Bruce Robertson speaks about, I'm not going to read the article, he speaks about how he was disappointed that other journalists like Alec Hogg are comfortable giving Rob a platform to speak. Then he speaks about the privilege that Rob Hersov comes from and his family. Not Rob, his family. Getting crucified for your dad being Jacob Zuma. Getting crucified for your uncle being Ace Magashule. Do we want to live in that world? My father, Zwelake Phineas Mloto, who passed away in 2020, abused my mom physically and some of his other girlfriends, was involved in smuggling guns, specifically during the struggle, which makes him an activist of sorts. He used to beat up his soccer boys when they lost games. Ngemvu, Nangesweb. Was a very controversial, unsavory character. Let's say my father had been involved as Ubabagan Tlantlalax in cash and transit heists. Let's say my mother was, let's say, similar to Umama Chek, Umama Chupchup, involved in certain scandals and frauds and scams. Must I now carry the sins of my mother and my father, regardless of what I've done with my life? Rob Hersov, as far as I know, has not built a mine. Him personally, he did not build a mine. He did not build a mine during apartheid because he was too young. As far as I know, he hasn't underpaid black workers. There are no black workers picketing saying, yeah, Rob Hersov didn't pay us or is underpaying us. As far as I know, Rob Hersov hasn't looted tenders. He's not an Angelo Agrizzi or is it Kevin Watson of Bosasa, who was giving bribes to Unomvula Mukonyane, as an example. He hasn't done that. He's had failed businesses in Europe. He's had failed businesses in Europe. He's set up an investment company now. They're building an airport in the Western Cape. Yes, his grandfather, his father, they built a great business, but not him. So when you crucify the child for the sins, if we call them sins of the father, grandfather, is that fair? And does that mean all of us must be criticized for what our parents may have done? Is that fair? That's one of the things critical thinkers think about, that a lot of people who are narrow-minded thinkers do not think about. Separate the child from the father. What has Tumelo Ramaphosa done? You may not like Cyril, but what has Andile Ramaphosa done? He got 50,000 from Bosasa. Okay, now we can look at that. We really, really need to apply our minds and stop being lazy and stop letting the media feed us garbage. Anyways, part of the hypocrisy of Bruce Robertson is he speaks of Rob Hersov's privilege, and he seems to only pick on him because his family was so successful, and he discounts all the other white people who are privileged today from the same systems. Bruce himself, as a white South African, is a beneficiary of the same laws. Even if he was a school teacher, a nurse, even if he had a small little business, even if he was just a little senior manager somewhere, it was because it was at the exclusion of black, Indian, colored people. He may have never gotten some of those privileges, himself and his colleagues and his family members. But it's easy to point fingers. It's always easy to point fingers and use someone as a scapegoat. Yo, Johan Rupert is a billionaire. I'm a white guy. Yes, I'm a senior manager. Yes, I earn 100,000 a month, but I worked hard. It's unfair because you're discounting yourself from the policies that led you to where you are. Where did you grow up, white man? Did you grow up in Lokshini? Did you grow up without a dad because your dad had to go and work somewhere far? Did you grow up with a mother who was a domestic worker who you never saw? You'd hardly see on weekends because she'd sleep over Wamedem and maybe come on weekends for a short period. Did you grow up in that space to come and tell me that you understand the struggle of a black person? Or are you going to be our pen? I grew up poor like you, you know. My parents didn't live in a big fancy house, but you grew up in the suburbs. You went to a functioning school that was funded and well looked after by a government that did not fund black schools. When you had to go and apply for jobs, you were already part of an old boys club. You spoke the English, the Afrikaans. You were part of the rugby team or the cricket team. The next black kid is not penal. They don't speak articulate English. They didn't apply themselves and excel at school. They didn't play rugby. It's a boy from Elokshini. It's a girl from Elokshini or Emakai who never played sports because the school didn't have facilities, who speaks broken English because they didn't go to a good school. So, you know, excuse them if they don't understand the sarcasm and the undertones when you guys are poking jokes in the meetings. Excuse them if they feel out of place when you guys go camping on the weekend or want to go to the shooting range. That's not a normal space for them. They're not used to it. Privilege that you discount yourself from. And he speaks about journalists like him who seems to be defending Cyril Ramaphosa. News 24 and some of these other platforms have gone on a rampage to defend Cyril Ramaphosa at all costs. When he has done some of the same things Jacob Zuma's done, they have not given him the same treatment as Jacob Zuma. Which tells us directly that there is a funded agenda somewhere. I want to see if there's anything else I want to pick up from this article. Speaks about mine workers and unions. Rob Hersov was not there. He was the kid, of course, but he wasn't there. Let's criticize Umisuzulu, Kazwelitini, because his dad and his grandfather, they were living large and wealthy during the apartheid regime. The apartheid government loved the Zulu kingdom. So Misuzulu must get dragged, crucified. But your dad and your granddad, they've been living well with the apartheid government. You guys own so much land, you're privileged. You can't speak to us about poverty. You went to private schools. Yeah, man. We just need to apply a bit of thought. We need to apply a little bit of thought. I wanted to speak about Cyril Ramaphosa and his trip to the United States, but maybe I'll do that in a separate video. Cyril Ramaphosa, we have not seen who funded him in his bank statements. We'll probably never see it. There's currently an investigation, as far as we know, of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars found on one of his farms at Palapala that he was aware of, that he knew was stolen, that he didn't report, he didn't open a case, that he used state resources for, illegally so, to chase up after, that he's used against state resources to contact the Namibian president, Geingob, Hage Geingob, to assist him, where the current acting public protector refuses to now unseal the answers to some of his questions, where his lawyers have advised him to not speak because he might incriminate himself. He's never been found guilty, himself and some of the people involved with the murders that happened at Marikana, at Lonmin Mine, where I believe he was a director or he was involved in some way. COVID relief fund that went missing under his watch and from his team. Hard lockdown, which decimated a lot of businesses. A lot of people lost their jobs. violations of human rights with mandatory vaccine mandates. Got people fired. People couldn't travel. People couldn't run their businesses. Some people have gotten sick from the side effects. And we heard recently that the second person has died as a result of the vaccine. And I've spoken to some doctors who have said there's a whole lot more. They're just not telling you guys the truth. Cyril Ramaphosa, who refuses to answer us and speak to us. And we must respect him as a leader in a broken democratic system. Our system is not democratic. And one of the things I did want to say is, if I get a chance to influence how this country is being run, and mind you, this doesn't serve rich people, including white people. This doesn't serve political power mongers and hungry politicians. This doesn't serve a lot of people that are privileged right now. South Africans, normal South Africans, number one, should aggressively be taught political literacy and learn how policies and the law work, and should be allowed to vote on policies directly. I, as a South African, should have an opinion on broad-based black economic empowerment, expropriation of land without compensation, the nationalization of the mines, the banks, and other big industries, the nationalization of the South African Reserve Bank. I, as a normal South African, should be allowed to vote. Not voting for politicians, voting for the policy. I should be allowed to vote for who sits in parliament. Not the political party that chooses who sits in parliament, but the person. I want Andile Mngxitama to sit in parliament. I should be able to vote for that. And it shouldn't be black and white. It shouldn't be, you have to vote for the ANC, and as soon as you do, you can't support Andile Mngxitama. You either vote ANC or PLF. No. I want, who do I like in the ANC? Yo, it's tough these days. Who do I like in the ANC? Who do I like in the ANC? Jeez, that's tough. Jeez, that's tough. Let's say Nompendulo Mkhatshwa, who was, I think she was the Wits SRC chair during Fees Must Fall. Let's use her as an example. I want Nompendulo Mkhatshwa to sit in parliament as a young black female and as the leader of Fees Must Fall. She must sit there. And I want Andile Mngxitama to sit in parliament. And I want Mbuyiseni Ndlozi to sit in parliament. I want to have, as an ordinary South African, the power to pick the people who sit in parliament. We've got 400 MPs. Why can't each South African give their opinions of who the 400 MPs must be? And then you tally up all of that and you say, well, of the 26 million or however many South Africans are eligible to vote, these are the people they want in parliament. Not tell me I can only vote for one political party. That is not democratic. Because now we want to support Andile Mngxitama, but because we're forced to vote for one party, we can't vote for the BLF. It becomes tough because it's a broken system. I want us to be able to vote for who sits in parliament. I want us to be able to vote for who is the MEC of the, who is the premier of the province. I want us to be able to vote directly for the mayor of our municipality. And I want us to vote directly for the president. We must say we want Jacob Zuma to be president, and people that want Cyril must vote for Cyril, and those that want Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, those that want Lindiwe Sisulu, those that want Malusi Gigaba, those that want John Steenhuisen, Gayton McKenzie, we should be able to vote. And the vote shouldn't be black and white. It can have shades of gray. Give me 100% split. Do I want to take my 100 chips and give them to Cyril? Or do I want to take 20 of my chips, give them to Cyril, 15 of my chips, give them to Gayton, 10 of my chips, give them Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma? Again, tally up those numbers and say, well, the different shades of gray have come up to tell us this is the person South Africans want as the president. These are the other candidates and these are the votes. Cyril maybe got 40% of the votes of South Africans when you tally. Gayton McKenzie got 20%. Jacob Zuma got 5%. It cannot be that with the technology we have, with the voices we have, with the Twitters, with the Facebooks, that we cannot implement things like this. Blockchain technology. But it's because people like myself are throttled in various ways. I don't want to be in politics. Someone is going to say, yeah, but Pen, you must go into politics so you can change these things. I can't change these things because I'm one voice in a sea of all these old dinosaurs with their funders. It won't make a difference. Uvuyo Zungula of ATM is doing amazing work in parliament and is so vocal, but no one really hears him. No one. So we have to fight from the outside like AfriForum and make enough noise that we want to change the political system. We want to change the political system. And we want all our politicians to give us their CVs. Whew. We want to see your CV. We want to see your performance review document. Every week, every month, every year. As an ordinary South African, I want to know what DT Mabuza has achieved this week, this month, this year. I want to see his CV. What are his qualifications? Where did he study? Oh, okay. What qualification? Okay. Okay, DT. Oh, Funde, Russia. Okay. Spend some time doing a short course in China. Okay, DT. Well done, boy. And then your performance. DT Mabuza has been in politics for 30 years. In Mpumalanga, he was responsible for the implementation of... Hey, you're a boy, okay? Well done, boy. Okay, since you've become deputy president of the country, DT, what have you done? No, I was instrumental in the changing of the... and the fixing of... Hey, DT, you're a say, ooh, look at what he's done this week. Go online, go on your phone and measure the performance. The work is done against what the scope was meant to be. What was he meant to achieve? What is he achieved? Gayton McKenzie, unlike other politicians, gave himself a list of, these are the things I want to achieve in 100 days, and he did them. And we saw it, and we loved him. One man, mayor of the Central Karoo, which other politicians are doing it, they're not. Because they know, hey, so exposed, Political literacy is dangerous because it will expose, as Rob said, that Cyril, the emperor, is not wearing any clothes, is naked. It will expose how lazy, incompetent, underqualified, ignorant your politicians are. How they do not know what they need to do and how they are doing no work. It will hold your ward councillor, it will hold your mayor, your MMCs, your MECs, your premier, the members of parliament to account. These are meant to be our servants, guys. You're meant to bump into Andile Mngetama on the road while he's busy cleaning and sweeping. Andile, manje parliament, you guys said you want to kill us, then what's happening? Akazel. Busy, Baba. Please go onto the portal www.whatever.com or .gov.org.za. Go to my profile and you'll see the work that I've been doing. And there's updates. Why do all our members of parliament not have Twitter accounts so we can engage them? Why do they not have Facebook pages? Why are they not giving us reports like I do? I'm giving reports every day. Some of the work I'm doing, you guys are seeing some of the interviews. Giving you reports. Why are they not doing that for us? How important are they in the world when they're meant to be serving? Engage us. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us where you're struggling. Tell us where we can chip in. Guys, we're trying to clean the township of... what's a good township? I never speak about other townships. Motherwell, New Brighton. We want to clean up Motherwell, but in budget here too, we've only got 5,000 for the cleanup. If you guys have got extra plastic bags, extra gloves, please come through. By the way, there's a cleanup in my ward 88 in Johannesburg, that is being organized by our ward councillors here. As soon as I finish this video, I'm going to go and join the team there. I want to send a shout out to our ward councillor from the DA, Nicolene Jonker, who's going to be leading that along with Felicity as well. We're doing a cleanup around Montgomery Park, Roosevelt Park, Emerentia, and those. But even in the suburbs, we're involved in some of the community work that's being done. It's me trying to be more active on the ground. I'm inspired, obviously, by people like Otutuzane Zuma who are cleaning on the ground. People like Onhlanhla Lux who are patrolling on the ground. People like the guys at AfriForum who are patrolling on the ground and doing basic services. And it's me. I don't want to be a role model. I don't want to be an example. There's many things about my life that you'll never be able to follow. There are many things about my life whose values are not aligned with yours. You want to get married? I hate marriage. You want to have kids with one person, I want to have kids with many people. So we're not the same. But where I can do work that I believe in, and I can inspire some of you to do the same, let's do it. Paul Kagame in Rwanda has, I don't know if it's once a week or once a month, where the country gets shut down, or might be the city of Kigali gets shut down and everyone has to clean. Today is World Cleanup Day, by the way, the 17th of September. So if you're not going to clean up around your yard, around your community, clean up your home, at the very least. Wash the dishes, sweep, mop, you know, clean space, clean mind. As I've said before, this is why some people don't like me. We need to plant more trees in townships. Fruit trees for food, but trees for shade and oxygen. There's a chance that abantu abamnyama emakasi, I'm going to say this in Zulu so that my algorithms, I can sidestep them. There's a chance that abantu abamnyama emakasi, the reason why ingqondo zabo ibolile is because balobe beshawa ilanga, because abanali tunes. Imagine the sun frying your head the whole day because you don't have any shade. There's no trees. Number two, you know, trees like take your nitrogen, or is it nitrogen or carbon dioxide, and they use it, and then they give out oxygen so that you can breathe better. You can think, oxygen to the brain. Number two, you're not having enough oxygen, and maybe that's why because you guys don't have trees. On top of that, the trees give you fruit that you can eat. It's another reason why ingqondo yakhe ibolile, ngoba ulambile uthoswa ilanga ona oxygen ucinene. We need to change our political system, man. Cyril Ramaphosa is enjoying his travels. Saw the media saying South Africans have asked Cyril Ramaphosa for Monday to be a public holiday to mourn the death of Queen Elizabeth. Laughed at the comments on Twitter. Who the fuck are these South Africans that ask Cyril? Who the fuck are they? Can mainstream media stop taking us for a fucking puss and stop lying? Stop fucking bullshitting us. You have a responsibility. We criticize politicians who are fucking up the country. We criticize big business who is greedy, who's constantly retrenching and automating. And then we have to listen to the mainstream media talk. Speak on behalf. Which fucking South Africans asked for a public holiday for Queen Elizabeth? Which South Africans are mourning the death of? Stop fucking lying to the people. We're meant to respect you as a media house, but you're spewing bullshit. Respect yourselves, man. Again, this is a shout out to alternative media and the fact that we have a platform now. One of the things we need in this country, again, it's a failure of our government, it's a failure of big business, it's a failure of ordinary South Africans. We look at the story of Mixit, friend of mine, Mandisa Khanyile, who's a huge activist in the LGBTQ space, gender-based violence, women that need shelters and protection, etc. What did I want to say about Mandisa? She set up a social media platform called .afro. She had to shut it down. It was too costly to run. There weren't enough people on it. When are we going to have our own social media platforms where we can set our own rules and we're not being dictated to by a Twitter in America, by a Facebook in America? China led. Google products are not allowed there unless you have VPN, which is like a shadow so that you're broadcasting from somewhere else while you're in China. Google products are not allowed there. Facebook products are not allowed there. So Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Gmail, Google Maps, YouTube, they don't play there. They've got their own Baidu. Of course, they've got your Alibabas. They've got, what are the other platforms? Baidu, whatever. They've got their own search engines. They've got their own social media platforms there. North Korea, of course, the Kim family have blocked off. You know, when are we gonna, the technology is there. It's not rocket science. Those of you who have studied computer science, programming, it's not computer science, and our government has got budget. We can set up, we can put the bandwidth and the spectrums and all these fancy terms. We can have our own social media that is funded and backed by government. Or at least not by government, but by the budget of the tax that we use. To say, guys, this is our South African portal and these are the rules that we've chosen. If you're going to swear, if you're going to criticize the president, if you're going to speak about the alternative sexuality, if you want to speak about tribalism, xenophobia, you are free to do so because we allow it. The citizens asked for that space, and the whole world will look and be like, South African social media is so free. Even if you're a racist, you can say your racist stuff. You will be called to order and told this is a racist post, but you're still allowed to say your piece. And it is only when it hurts other people or when you are hurting other people that the law then comes in and intervenes. But for you to say, I think this race is lazy, and these are the reasons. I think these people that are of this sexuality are disgusting for these reasons. Say your piece, homie. When you say your piece, you'll be like, I know why you're saying that. You're wrong. You're actually wrong. But thank you for saying it, because now I can school you on what it means to be gay. Now I can school you on what it means to be transgender. Now I can school you on whatever, because you maybe don't understand race relations. You maybe lack history. You didn't know. Yesterday I had a conversation about Jada Pinkett and Will Smith and the entanglement with August Alsina. And in the conversation, it became clear with the person I was having a conversation with that they didn't know the backstory of what had happened between Jada Pinkett and August Alsina. And their opinion on how people were wrong and why did they drag her, and you didn't know the backstory. So some people are racist because they don't know the backstory. Black South Africans call Indian people amakula, a derogatory term at the same level as kafir. And the reason you're like, no, but amakula, you don't know the context, the history, the term kuli, and where it comes from and why it's derogatory and why it's wrong for you to call Indian people that. You can call them amandiya. Maybe Indians can advise, look, you guys can call us this. It's wrong. But because you're ignorant, you don't know. So when someone says, let's say on South African social media, you're free to say it. We won't cancel you. We won't suspend you. We won't send you to the Human Rights Commission. We will be like, let's school you on why this is wrong. Let's learn. Dutchman. What's a Dutchman? Is that derogatory? What's a pommie? These fucking pommies. Is that derogatory? Let's have a conversation. But we need our own platforms that we're not dictated to by, again, funded social media platforms from America that are funded by billionaires in the back end. Our videos get throttled because we use code words that the United Nations don't like, that the World Health Organization don't like. And because I speak articulate English, I can only imagine that algorithms hear me very clearly. If I'd maybe spoken broken English, it sounds like he's saying maybe rappers found ways to put codes in their hip-hop tracks so that you don't pick up. Imagine the number of words for marijuana, Mary Jane, spliff, weed, purple haze. You can keep going. Because they needed to find codes so that you don't pick up what they're speaking about. Anyways, I went on a tangent. Just in closing, AngloVaal group speak about Rob Hersov, who's a mate of mine and who I will defend because I need him to speak freely. I need people like Johan Rupert, Nikki Oppenheimer, Yanni Mouton, Christo Visa, Wendy Applebaum, the Mutsipe family, the Kumete family, the Gnene family, the Maponya family, the Reddy family, the Sheikh family, the Guptas themselves. We need them to speak so that we can decide for ourselves as normal citizens whether they're wrong or right. Or if they're fully wrong or partially wrong, partially right, fully right. We don't want the media to tell us what to think of them. We want to think for ourselves. We want to think for ourselves. Give us a little bit of respect. Respect us just a little. You guys put us through your bullshit schooling system, so allow us to think a little bit. We've read some books. We've studied some intelligence. We've worked in certain spaces. We've traveled the world. Cyril Ramaphosa is not a better man than me because he's a billionaire and he's chosen and he's done all this work. Why can I not be at his level? Rob Hersov is not a better man than me. He may come from privilege. He may have worked with the biggest media mogul in the world. But why can I not be respected? I have my own opinions and they're worthy. Why can we not listen to Ukoko, who went through apartheid and Bantu education, who has an opinion? Why can we not listen to Ukoko might tell us we need the bucket toilet system. We need it. Hayi Ukoko. Wrong leyo nto. No mntanami. Lento yamabhakede into esiyenzayo siyabhosha khona, siyakaka khona. Masikaka sesafundiswa ukuthi siyakaka sifaka isawdust. Masingafaka ngesawdust faka inhlabathi masiqeda ukaka. Masiqeda kaka mntana maliseligcwele ibhakede. Siyawathatha lawo makaka sifike swamboza. Sifike swafaka khona into sifike sifake ichemical. Sifike simboza ihlale for 8 months. Masiqeda ukuyimboza for 8 months. Lolo thuvi lawo makaka, lo mbosho. It turns into fertilizer and manure that we can put in our gardens that can grow our food. Gogo is not stupid. Gogo is not Bantu education fied. She's telling us that we should not be shitting into these toilets that take nutrients and flush them into some sewage system. But we can actually accumulate these nutrients, put them with sawdust and soil and banana peels and potato peels and store them somewhere for 8 months and turn them into manure. Fertilizer is fucking expensive. Our urine has nutrients that maybe we should be collecting, mixing with other things and putting into our gardens so that we can grow our own food. Gogo's not an idiot. Gogo's not an idiot. So let's let Gogo speak. No, but President Joe Biden said, no, but the leaders at the United, no. Who are they? They're meant to be our servants. They must listen to us. They mustn't come and dictate to us. The media mustn't come and tell us what they think is better for us. There are places in the Eastern Cape where people don't want these big floodlights. Yeah, but crime, we understand crime. But our cows are getting blinded by the lights. You are disturbing our livestock. We don't want the lights here. Listen to us. I want to speak about AngloVaal and then I want to speak about Rob again. The AngloVaal Group was one of 6 large South African holding companies that had interests in mining, finance, and industry. It was formed in 1933 as the Anglo-Transvaal Consolidated Investment Company Limited, with interest initially in mining. In 1981, it became AngloVaal Limited. So they cut the Anglo-Transvaal Consolidated Investment Company Limited and they limited it to AngloVaal Limited, just as the Amalgamated Banks of Southern Africa became ABSA. It was majority owned throughout its existence by the Hersov, and Manel families. In the late 1990s, it would form into 2 separate companies, AngloVaal Industrial Holdings, known as AVI, if you've ever heard of AVI, and AngloVaal Minerals, AVMIN. As a family-owned business, all family interests were to be diluted by 2001. By 2003, AngloVaal Minerals became part of African Rainbow Minerals Limited, a listed black empowerment company. African Rainbow Minerals of Patrice Motsepe. Hersov, Manel, they broke off some of their mining interests into ARM, Patrice Motsepe. That's why at some point a lot of people thought Patrice Motsepe's handlers are the Hersov and Manel families. The company Anglo-Transvaal Consolidated Investment Company Limited was formed in Johannesburg, South Africa in June 1933. It was the creation of mining engineer A.S., known as Bob Hersov, and stockbroker Simeon, known as Slip G. Manel, and also Norbert S. Early, with the purpose of reopening closed mines after the price of gold rose. They would purchase old mines closed before the First World War, such as Vogel Deep Mine, Vogelstraat Estates, and the Bankers Consolidated Mines. These mines and new leases obtained for the state government came to be called Rand leases. This is not important. The exploration middle Witwatersrand, explore gold, Potchefstroom area. After Second World War, drilling Orange Free State on the farms Meresspruit, Harmony, and Virginia. Enough gold was found, Virginia Farm, Meresspruit. It was renamed AngloVaal Limited in 1981. Cool. In 1992, AngloVaal accounted for about 3% of the JSE's entire market cap. It was one of the 6 large companies that controlled 85% of the stock exchange. So there were 6 companies that controlled 85%. AngloVaal was 3% of that. 98 would see the beginning of the end of the family majority-owned AngloVaal Holdings, which split into AngloVaal Limited and AngloVaal Industries AVI under a new holding company, AngloVaal Industrial Holdings. The 2 families would control them until June 2001, when all shares would be worth 1 vote. The remaining mining interest of AngloVaal Limited would be renamed AngloVaal Minerals AVMIN in December 1998. AVMIN would be controlled by the Manel family. So the mining interests of AngloVaal went to the Manel family. AVI would retain its Console, INJ, and National brands while selling off Alpha, Avenge, Bearing Man, Tristel Holdings, and Greenacre Construction. Avenge, whose old name was AngloVaal Engineering, again an acronym or an abbreviated word. Avenge, old name AngloVaal Engineering, was an independent company in construction, steel, and cement. AVI would be controlled by the Hersov family. Avmin, the Manel family, the mining, the industry aspect went to the Hersov family. But they did sell off AVI. Alpha, Avenge, Bearing Man, Tristel Holdings, and Greenacre Construction. Avmin, the mining part, would retain Saturn Diamonds, Avgold, Asmang, Lavino, and Horizon Chrome Mines, and base metals division of Nkomati GO, Avmin Zambia, and Chambisi Metals. It would sell off Avmin Coal Holdings, Forzando Coal Mines, Doornfontein Coal Mines, Elof Mining Company, Rhino Minerals, and Njala or Nyala Minerals. In 2000, Avmin, the mining aspect, would sell its stake in the Venetia diamond mine to De Beers, preventing a possible takeover attempt of Avmin, with De Beers selling its shares of Avmin to investors, but not Anglo-American. One day we must speak about Anglo-American. They've been a big bully in the history of this country. And whenever certain, even white businessmen, industrialists have been on the come up, they were always forced to sell a stake in their businesses to Anglo-American as a form of protection, like the mafia. Even when the ANC government came into effect, some of the BEE deals were pioneered and orchestrated by Anglo-American to ensure that some of the privileged white people, some of the foreign investors were protected from a black population overthrowing, kicking them out, etc. So they would give some of these shareholdings to an elite black group, as we know today, the Cyrils, the Sakis, the Mzis, the Lazaruses, the Daphnes, etc., the Patrices. In 2002, Anglo-American purchased a 35% portion of Avmin, but the former's investment potential was short-lived when Avmin sold a portion of its ownership in Avgold from 60 to 42%. Technicalities. Anglo then sold 34% or a 34% share of Avmin to Harmony and ARM Gold in May 2003. Anglo-American sold about 35% of its share of Avmin to Patrice's Harmony and ARM Gold in May 2003. The latter two would then make a bid for control of Avgold. Very interestingly, and Rob Hersov taught me this, that his family was involved in the founding of Sasol. They didn't run Sasol, but in the founding. In the 1930s, AngloVaal, in cooperation with the Burma Oil Company, created SATMA, South African Torbanite Mining and Refining Company, to extract oil from shale in the Ermelo area. Its oil refinery was set up in Boksburg. The site was soon depleted. The process then developed into an idea to produce oil from coal. So in 1935, the company purchased a South African license to build a Fischer-Tropsch plant. Dr. H.J. van Eck and Etienne Rousseau became involved with the company, but falling oil prices in 1937 and the approach of the Second World War ended the idea temporarily. Van Eck left in 1940 to become chairman of South African Industrial Development Corporation, what we know as the IDC today. AngloVaal's decision was to pass on the project, which was made for two reasons. Number one, it had failed to find the finance to turn the project into a viable project. And secondly, new gold deposits had been discovered in the Orange Free State, a business they better understood. An interim committee was formed on the 2nd of June 1950 between the state government and AngloVaal that saw the latter transfer all licensing agreements and coal rights on 25 May 1950 to the government, and where the name of the future project, Sasol, was proposed. AVI, as you heard, Avmin, Manel family. AVI, Hersov family. Some of the brands you may know from AVI today: Five Roses Tea, Fresh Pack Rooibos, Trinco Tea, Ellis Brown Creamer, House of Coffees, Baker's that does biscuits, Pro Vita, Willard's that does cheese curls, Baker Street Snacks, I&J, which does frozen foods, Coffee Haze, Frisco, Cyril Coffee, Lavazza or Lavazza, Yardley of London, Lanthoric of London and Paris, Cavella, some of the favorite brands of the colored, the brain O's, the Cavellas owned by AVI under the Hersov family, made in Italy, Spitz, the shoe brand or the shoe retail store, Kurt Geiger. This looks like, what's the crocodile? Lacoste. Lacoste. Tosoni, Gant, Green Cross, which I think does shoes for old people that have sore feet. GX and Co. Those are just some of the brands that they have under AVI. You would not have known. Spoke about Avenge, spoke about Green Acre Construction. Huge companies that were born of Bob, Slip, and what's the other guy's name? Early. I don't want to mess up his surname. Bob Hersov, Slip, Manel, and Norbert Early, who founded AngloVaal. You know, it becomes a great historic story for those who are willing to get involved and understand. And yes, we have to speak about the fact that they exploited the policies of the time. Same way Patrice Motsepe exploited the policies of the time where he became wealthy of BEE, Black Economic Empowerment, along with his brothers-in-law, Cyril Ramaphosa, Jeff Khadebe, his sister Bridget Motsepe, along others as well. They exploited the policies of the time, along with a lot of black entrepreneurs that have become multimillionaires and billionaires today because of the policies of the time. If a new policy comes up in future that Indian businesses get a first shot, if a policy comes up, Gayton McKenzie becomes president of the country and he says, coloureds need to be involved in the economy. We need coloured representation. Coloureds are going to exploit the time. If in America they say, look, we're opening the doors to African investors, we'll give you guys free shares, we'll give you guys, all of us will benefit from the policies of the day. So white business people of the day exploited the policies of the apartheid government of the day. Yes, they may have funded politicians. Yes, they funded the policies which favored them. In the same way today, they've been funding the ANC government. They've made sure that the ANC protects a bulk of their privilege and only lets through a few blacks, a few chosen blacks to sit with them at the table. Rob Hersov, not true, not entirely true, mentioned me in his speech saying, my friend, a podcaster, the Black Pen, said that I'd met with two friends of mine who were entrepreneurs. That was true. In Hyde Park, that was not true. I'm not going to mention where they stay. And the fact that I've had a chance to be a entrepreneur and I've said I don't want to be involved in that filth. That's also not true. I've got my issues with tenders and how tenders have been run in this country historically. And for a long time, like a lot of you, when I thought tenders, I thought corruption, I thought killing each other, I thought bribes and nonsense. The reality is that tenders is doing business with the government. You can do business with private companies. There are tenders, guys, in private companies, by the way. ABSA needs people to do their security, their cleaning, supply toilet paper, supply paper. There are companies that do that, of which one of the big companies that's involved in private sector procurement. See, it's got fancy terms now when it gets to private. Private sector procurement, Bidvest, huge company. There are other companies that do their catering, not just for small events, but constant catering. Whenever they're having snacks and samosas and meatballs and rusks and muffins at their meetings, there are companies that do that. You can tender to private companies. You must tender to government. It has a huge budget, maybe 2 trillion rand a year. Why are you not pitching? Of course, because now it's black people. So there were people very sneakily who made tenders seem bad because some of the black people have killed each other in tenders, just as black people have killed each other in the taxi space, as an example. So it has become a dangerous space because there are bribes. There were bribes paid during apartheid. We don't know about it because it wasn't documented. Today, of course, someone said this recently. They said the reason we now understand the bribes and tenders and the processes is because the people that were doing this under apartheid government are telling the media houses to report on this because they were doing it. But no one was doing it. No one was reporting it at the time. There's bribes that are paid. And then sadly, there are entrepreneurs that are greedy. There are entrepreneurs that don't respect their work and they don't do a good job. So you see houses that are falling apart. You see roads that erode. You see 15 million for a stadium, which is just a patch of land, which has nothing on it. So some people don't respect what they're meant to do. And they misuse the money. Pay for girls to go to Dubai, pop bottles at spaces. And it is not the right servants, business servants that are doing tenders. So today it is not true that I'm not interested in tenders. I would love to do work with the government, aligned with some of the work that I can do, some of the work that myself and some of my friends have the capacity and competence to do and price well for. The other thing that was incorrect, Guys, tenders are not easy. Spending time with a lot of tenderpreneurs, it's a tough space. The amount of documents you have to fill in, like, fuck. Endless documents, endless buttering up of procurement officers, building relationships, attending tender briefing seminars, doing the work, finding cheap suppliers, dealing with employee relations, COIDA, UIF, tax compliance, making sure that you get paid. You've done all the work, and then you don't get paid. There's delays because by the budget, it's election season, people that are trying to kill you. Yeah, man, it's hard. It's hard. Business is not a friendly match. Business is war. Not just in tenders, not just in the taxi space, not just in the drug space. But I'll tell you, even what you think is decent business, it's war. The mining industry has got a mafia. The logistics industry, the trucking industry has got a mafia. Cigarettes, we've heard, have got a mafia with the illicit, illegal cigarettes. Petroleum, it's got its own mafia. The ports, the harbors have got their own mafias. The banking industry is a cartel. Pharmaceuticals are a cartel. The insurance industry, we've seen 360 Kandanim City and the guys fighting because it's clear that there's agendas there. We've seen, like I said, Kulufelo Maponya with the PIC, Iqbal survey, and Segunjalo media, accounts closed of the Guptas, accounts closed of Tutuzane Zuma still can't open a bank account in this country, even though he's never been found guilty of anything. Why not? Iqbal surveys had some of his business accounts closed. Marcus Jooste of Steinhoff, his accounts are not closed. Other people that were involved, the Bosasa guys, their accounts are not closed. Other people that were accused of bribes and their accounts have not been closed. When KPMG, Deloitte have been found of wrongdoing, their accounts are not closed. And again, you see with Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, we see with some of the legal minds, how even the legal space is not black and white. There are people that get favorable treatment while others don't. It's a mess. So yes, the Hersov family benefited from policies back in the day. This is why I'm also saying we need to be able to vote on policy. Rob Hersov has got some ideas on how to turn this country around. We need to fix Eskom. Everyone knows we need to fix Eskom, and the current government is struggling. Whether it was under Brian Molife and Matsila Koko, whether it is now under Andre Tareta, they are failing. The independent power producers, which are seen as a savior, it's licenses that are being controlled by a Jeff Khadebe, who is giving a lot of these licenses to his brother-in-law Patrice, who's probably going to pass some of them on to his brother Cyril, if not one of their business associates, Putuma Nhleko. Of course, there's going to be a whole lot of other white and Indian and maybe a few colored people in the background that you won't hear about. You'll only hear of these big black names because that's how it kind of works. They're giving a lot of deals. I think Tokyo Sehwale or is someone related to him has been involved in. There's a European company that's involved in some of this power produced offshore. It's a ship. I forgot the company. This ship that's offshore that powers the nation. Wind turbines, which make billions of rands in windy areas. Gayton McKenzie speaking about fracking, in the Central Karoo. Shell, there was the Save the Environment protests with Shell. I think it was Shell. I hope it was Shell. So what was I trying to say? Eskom needs to be fixed. The railway system needs to be fixed. There's people like Osaki Machozoma who do work with the Afrikaans Oosthuizen family, Safiga Oosthuizen, who make millions, if not billions, every year from trucking. Of course, of commodities out there. There are other big companies as well. Goldfields, Bidvest, through some of the companies that they have. Is it Imperial Logistics? I don't know if Bidvest still has a stake there. And a whole host of other people make money from trucks. There's mafias there as well. We need to fix our railway system if we want to be an economically powerful country. Eskom, like I said, our energy, we need to get free Wi-Fi and data to decentralize education and to increase connectivity. We need to get good transport systems. Fikile Mbalula and the guys have made a shit show of our transport. The potholes, the deals that have been done, e-tolls, which are bullshit, Gautrain, which is not really servicing people the way it should, etc., etc. We need to make international transport as cheap as possible for our people that are going there to get us money, get us skills and resources. You know, it's said that SAA is gone, but SAA also wasn't cheap, which was a fuck up in itself. So these are some of the conversations we need to have. Rob Hersov, like some industrialists and capitalists, believes that we need to lower minimum wage, which is not fair, and it's going to mean South Africans get paid less than they paid now. But it's because we're competing with an Asia, which has got very low wages. How do you compete on money in that sense? Of course, it can't come from Rob. Of course, it can't come from Johan Rupert, and it can't. They've been beneficiaries of the exploitation of labor. But the reality is, guys, we've got Malawians, Mozambicans, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis who are making money in this country because they're willing to enslave themselves and pay themselves peanuts so that they can build something. So the reality is our labor is too expensive relative to the countries that are giants of manufacturing and mining. How do we resolve it? That's a conversation we need to have. He has an issue with the EWC, expropriation without compensation. Julius Malema, Commander-in-Chief. It used to be an ANC policy. The ANC has parked it because their leaders are now in bed with rich people. So they have become Animal Farm. They've become the rich that don't want their wealth disturbed. We need to have a conversation about land. I want to be at that table. Can call it Codesa 2.0. If we're not going to have it with Rob, because Rob is old, he's in his 60s now. We want to have it with the younger generations. Who are the Hersov, Manel, Oppenheimer, even Kumete, Gunene, Mutsipe kids that are my age, in their 30s, maybe in their 20s. We want to sit with these guys and say, guys, we need to speak about land. You guys are rich because of your families, because of the relationships and the associations that they have, but we need to have a conversation about land and how land can be used. We need to bring the kings, Miso Zulu, Dalindyebo, and others. We need to bring the Royal Bafokeng family in. We need to bring the Lichanyane, the religious people in. The Lichanyanes, the Shambes, the Modises. Let's have a conversation. What's the story with the land, guys? People want land. Do we nationalize the land and then have a state arm? It may not be the government we have now, but have maybe an arguably independent, or what we'd call independent state arm that manages land on behalf of the people. Like the South African Revenue Services, SARS, like the South African Reserve Bank, the SARB. You know, should we have an independent group that manages the land on behalf of the people and that are entrusted to collect lease money? The same way the king of the Zulus has Ingonyama Trust. They're meant to be the custodians of the land there. They make about 200 million rand a year from leasing out some of the land. Some of the land has been given to the people to live on, to farm. But can they give us a report of this is what's been done with the land for the benefit of the people? This is where the 200 million rand goes for the benefit of the people. Let's see it and let's have a conversation. The Oppenheimers have a lot of land in this country. Other families have got a lot of land in this country. I think Koos Becker of Naspers has got a lot of land in this country. What is he doing with the land? These farms, Karen Beef, which is sold to the PIC, which I think has given it to a BEE consortium. Karen Beef, largest cattle breeders on the African continent. What have they done with their land? Can we see the work? How do we get involved? The Van Sale family, very close with Tito Mboweni. The Van Sale family in Limpopo and other parts of the world. ZZ2. What are they doing with the land? Can we get reports? How do people get involved? Skills sharing, etc. Let's speak about the land. You know, expropriation without compensation would be cool. Unfortunately, that boat was missed in 1994 when Nelson Mandela and the guys were meant to isolate and ring fence the land and say this was the land that was taken from black people during apartheid. It is now owned by the state and now we'll gradually pass it on. We missed that boat. Now we need to have a conversation with, let's look at our land. Who is working the land? What are they doing with that money? Who are they employing? Who are they benefiting? Let's put that land aside and say, keep doing the good work, but you're going to have to start passing over or sharing some of the skills, knowledge, and some of the land for the benefit. If it means, and this is a controversial thing I've said before, but I mean it. If it means we need to find the Mutsipe family, who we see maybe as a progressive black family, and we pair them with the Oppenheimers or the Ruperts and say, guys, Romeo and Juliet, you guys need to get some of your children to marry each other and have children as a form of building unity between black and white. Let's do the same with the Zuma family. Let's take Tutuzane and a daughter of Christu Visa. They must get married, they must have kids so that they can share resources, they can share skills, and they'll give birth to Trevor Noahs and Drakes and Alicia Keys of the South African continent, who are going to be these colored kids that are going to say, my ancestors are the Manels, they also the Gunenes or the Maponyas. I am colored, but we did it as a form of unity so that we could share land and resources for the benefit of the people on the ground. Let's have some of those conversations. Misu Zulu's father, Uzwelithini, married Misu Zulu's mom, who was a princess of the of Swatini, of King Mswati. Misu Zulu himself has got a wife from KwaZulu, but he's gone to take a second wife from Eswatini to strengthen the relations. You know, should someone be marrying from the Royal Bafokeng family, should someone be marrying into the Likhanyane or the Shambe families to access their resources, their followings, etc., their land, so that we can build something special? Do we need to have a conversation about why Cyril Ramaphosa, why did he get divorced and marry a Mutsipe? Why did Jeff Khatebe get divorced and marry a Mutsipe? Was there arranged marriages somewhere that were done so that political power and business power could merge for the benefit of the families and other stakeholders? Can we see more of that is cross-tribal, cross-racial, cross-religious groups as a way of building unity? You know, I think Rob only has sons. But if Rob Hersov had a daughter, Rob, are you willing to let me date your daughter and have children with your daughter as a form of saying, pen, I don't see color. Let me date your daughter, you know. Or if I'm not going to date your daughter because maybe she's not really into me, you know. We're in 2022, so forced arranged marriages don't work. But maybe she can become my business partner, you know. And I'm like, look, I'm do business with Rob Hersov's son, you know, as a show of good faith. Patrice Mutsipe, for example, Augustine Mutsipe's father had relationships with the Hersov Manel families. Patrice himself has got relationships with the Manels. I think it's Brian Manel currently now. You know, I think James Hersov is on the board of AVI as an example. So they've got these relationships. So let's have the conversations. Can we meet some of your children? Can we connect? I'm meeting with Tutuzane Zuma. I'm extending a hand. Some of my friends are friends with other people in the Zuma family. Can we meet with some dope from the Kumete family? Can we meet with Patrice's son? Can we meet with the children of the Mutons, the Visas? You know, Vivian Reddy, the Sheikh family, the Moti family, very powerful family that's not very popularly known in Johannesburg. You know, they were in the news because at some point Cyril needed a plane to do official work and they lent him one of their private jets. Levels in China. You know, can we have those conversations, you know, and see, you know, how do we connect? Good friend of mine now, Pesheya Duma, whose father built a great logistics company, Zamalwandle Logistics. I don't know if this was arranged or not, but I just want to use them as an example. And I apologize if this is, what's the right term, inappropriate for me to do so, but I'd like to think it's public news. His father, Mbongiseni Duma, married into the Zulu family, the royal family. His wife is the daughter, I think it's the daughter of Uzwelithini. So they've got a relationship there. And he's done a lot of good work in the Bergville area. Bergville, creating jobs, developing property, it's funded businesses there. These are the stories we need to tell. The Maponya family, we've only seen the tip of the iceberg of the stories. We need to sit with Uchichi Maponya and find out what have they done since the legacy of their dad, Richard Maponya. So we need to speak about the land. We need to have these conversations and it needs to be open. We'll do it on podcasts. We'll do it once we can partner with mainstream media and they stop being fucking assholes. And we can have these conversations. Let's do it. And let's build a truly united South Africa. Sia Kolisi and Rachel Kolisi, look at what they've achieved. Not only do they have beautiful children, Sia's gone to adopt his younger siblings. And they are raising them as a family. Sia Kolisi has met so many people. He's a beacon of hope. Not just for privileged white South Africans. Oh, Sia is such a great guy. But even for black people. Tetis Xhosa, he represents Izwide township. I think it's from Izwide. He represents them very well. He's taken Springboks He's taken some of his Stormers guys to his home to see what a cultural celebration of Xhosa people, black people is like. Shout out to the ex-Springbok coach, Alistair Coetzee. I think it was Alistair Coetzee. Was Alistair... I hope I'm not butchering his surname. No, I'm not bad. Springbok coach, Alistair. Yeah, Alistair Coetzee. With Nizam Kar, a Muslim member of the Stormers, Western Province at the time. Boy from Bishops, shout outs to Bishops. Muslim boy took the whole team to mosque to go and see and learn what Islam is about. Why does Nizam always have to leave on Friday to go to mosque? Just to learn tolerance, cultural sharing, knowledge sharing. I said this back when I was in high school, when I was deputy head boy at Newcastle High. I said we need to do an exchange program and get some of the white kids at Newcastle High to visit township kids in Madadeni or Sizweni, and get some of those black kids to visit Newcastle High. And we share our stories and our resources. Geez, we've got so much work to do and it's exciting, but it's up to us to do these things. Using technology to build our own social media, discussing some of these things that Rob and them want to speak about, expropriation without compensation, lowering the wage. It must make sense, and it means that our public transport must be free. It can't be that people still have to pay for a train or a bus or a taxi and then get paid peanuts. Or moving some of these factories to the townships so that people can walk to work. And if you're not going to be paying them well, can you give them other benefits? Or can we teach them at least to grow their own food so that you don't have to stress about feeding them? Can you build them decent homes? Not some of these garbage RTPs that we've seen, so that they're like, well, I've got a home, got free healthcare, my kids study for free, and we have food. So it's fine, you can pay me 1,000 Rand a month because the factory is just there, I can walk to it. We can come up with some of these solutions, but it requires strong, clear visionary leadership. People like myself and some of the young people I'm trying to meet. The old people, they're holding on to power. It's the only way they can get paid because they're not dynamic. They don't have money. We need to work around them. We need to mastermind them. We need to build outside and independent on them. You know, if there's a way for me to use my Twitter, I mean, once I have a bigger brand and maybe I have a Twitter page like an Elon Musk that has DJ Spoo, his Twitter before it got fucked, before it got hacked, million followers. He was using it to promote small businesses. Can I get my Twitter following to 50,000, 100,000, 500,000 followers? And once I'm there every week, I can run polls like Elon Musk does. Do you guys think we should do X? Get people to vote. And after that, I can make a video and say, this is what the people have said. It's a small sample, but it's a bigger sample than some of your newspapers do. A newspaper will say 30% of South Africans believe Cyril is a good leader. When you read the article, you'll see that they did a survey of 300 people. What the fuck? They did a sample of 4,000 women. In a country with 30 million women, 4,000 women believe that men are abusing them. No, bro, that's not fair. Elon Musk will post a poll on Twitter and it will get 20 million votes. 20 million, more votes than like South Africa gets at the elections. But that comes with power, reach, responsibility, which I'm trying to build. And obviously I'm trying to meet some of these people, whether I like them or not, whether they're racist or not, because I'm saying, where do we align? We want a better, safer South Africa. Let's do the work. Where do we misalign? No, you need to share. No, you need to pay more tax. No, it can't be that you sit there in your ivory tower and how can we speak about that and debate and argue? And maybe we won't agree. We'll focus on the work where we agree, but please don't, this other stuff, we're still going to come for you because we're not happy. So these are some of the conversations that we need to have. I think I've covered everything. Please go check out the speech by Rob Hersov. Share your thoughts. Try to not have an inferiority complex. It can't be that every time a white person speaks, you get angry. But you don't get angry when a black, corrupt leader speaks. And it's just because of the color of their skin. It means that you have an inferiority complex based on race. It means that you're still carrying the trauma of apartheid. And I understand you woke up maybe in a shack. Your grandmother died, never seeing her RTP. Everywhere you go, you still feel racism from white people because there are a lot of white racists. In the company where you work for, you are overlooked for a promotion because your bosses and your colleagues are racist. I understand. But see through the race. and confidently say this was racism. I never became head boy at Newcastle High. Why? Because of racism. Because the principal at the time, Mr. Jan Tutoy, at the time, did not see the need for a black head boy, even though I was the best candidate, on merit. Some of the teachers, they were like, Ben, you're going to be the first black head boy of the school. Sure, whatever. On merit, I was meant to lead that school. But because of racism, it was straightforward. You could see it. How do we resolve? How do we fix that? And how do I make sure that, let's say Principal Tutoy was racist, but was he good at giving motivational speeches before a first-team rugby game? Was he good at holding the teachers to account to deliver good education to the kids? You know, was the school functioning well? Yes. It's like apartheid. Apartheid built a functioning ESCOM, a functioning SASO, ISCO. It serviced a minority of the country, yes, but they were doing a great job at it. They were racist, yes. Their policies took land from black people. Their policies oppressed black people, yes. What can we learn from the apartheid government? Run infrastructure better. So to the ANC government or an EFF or a DA that comes in, guys, take a leaf from the apartheid government and say, if they could build this for 10% of the population, can you guys go and build 10 more of those for the rest of the population? Go learn from them. What can you take from their book, which is don't do that. Don't oppress black people. Don't take the land of people aggressively, forcefully, and strip them of their dignity. We can learn that as well. So those are some of the things we need to do. Go listen to the speech at the BizNews conference. I'm hopefully going to have more talks with Rob. I'm hopefully going to meet more influential white people, Indian people, colored people, hopefully some Chinese people. I want to sit with some people on the ground level, people from Malawi who came into this country because they come from poverty, people from Mozambique, people from Lesotho. I'd like to sit with some Zamazamas and speak to them about some of their thoughts. We need to speak to ordinary South Africans. I want to create platforms where we're not just sitting on platforms speaking to celebrities and politicians and rich people. I want to speak to normal people. I'd love that. If it's a round table and there's maybe 20 normal people and it's a 2-hour show and I'm just asking questions and we're just having their thoughts, and you guys obviously who are not there can then say in the comments, I agree, I disagree, these are my views, and we start channeling the discourse in this country. And we're not letting certain media houses, the SABC, E-News, ENCA, Newsroom Africa, and other such newspapers like the Sunday Times, City Press, Times Live, Mail and Guardian, Daily Maverick, News 24 dictate to us. We have voices. We have platforms now. We have the internet. We have social media. Use it responsibly. Don't just read the media and then just regurgitate what they did. That's what we hate about the schooling system. You just read a textbook and then regurgitate without applying your mind. Read an article and think. I know for some of you it's painful. Brain short circuit. You know, but try and think. Use logic. Be like, does it make sense? Is this true? Okay. Was Queen Elizabeth all bad? Obviously not. You know, her family loved her. The people of the United Kingdom loved her. Some of the Commonwealth leaders love her. Cyril Ramaphosa is the only African president that has been invited there. Tells me that it means they see him as a great leader for them, not for us. The South African people, I'd like to think, don't like the chap. You know, he's one of 2 BRICS leaders that was invited. The president of Brazil was invited as well. You know, is Cyril all bad? Obviously not. He's built wealth, he's built Shanduga, he's created jobs. His family seems to like him. Some of his business associates seem to like him, and they seem to defend him. Some of us don't like him. So let's apply some critical thinking. You know, let's think. It's not a crime yet. 1984, George Orwell. You know, the thought police. You've been thinking too much, Pen. Gonna suspend you off Facebook. Too much thinking. It's a Saturday. I'm gonna go and do my bits to clean up my neighborhood. I hope that you will do the same, and let's connect and let's combine. End of this month, on the 30th of September, I'm hosting a talk in Johannesburg. I will keep posting the poster. You can book your ticket at Web Tickets. If we get oversubscribed, I will host another one soon. If you guys would like to host one wherever you come from, Cape Town, Durban, Mpumalanga, Nelspruit, Mbombela, Bloemfontein, Rustenburg, Mafikeng, Mahikeng, Kimberley, hit me up. If you guys can get 10, 20 people to pay for my transport, my accommodation, my food, and just a little bit for my time to come through there, we can come and we can engage. And hopefully we can start identifying leaders where you are, who can put their hands up and lead. And I will help where I can with resources and connections. It doesn't help for you to DM me, Pen, I want to meet Rob. I need 5,000 rand. Come on. Think. Apply logic. Or ask your friends, your family, and other people to give you 5,000. Rob is not going to help you with 5,000 rand. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of his time. Try and find solutions where you are. It is only where you think Rob can help you reach someone, let's say like a Johan Rupert, that you can't reach. And because you've got this huge business that you've scaled and sure, got a luxury brand, Maxhosa. Maxhosa wants to list under the Richmond Group, luxury group. You know, Latuma. I think his name was Latuma. Latuma from Maxhosa could say, Pen, I want to meet up with the Ruperts. Is it possible? I'm like, Latuma, let's see what we can do, dog. I don't know. I can't guarantee, but let's try. But if you're starting a little t-shirt brand where you're buying t-shirts from China Mall, China City, and you you're like, oh, I want to meet, come on. It's disrespectful to me as well, and that's why I'm not going to respond to your messages. Let's think. Where you can't think, read some books, watch some content, watch my podcast, watch my videos, educate and uplift your mind, liberate your mind. Become a penalist, you know, great belief system that I run and that I'm hoping will become a game changer in the country, on the continent, and in the world at large. Hope you'll have a blessed Saturday. I hope you'll have a productive weekend. Hope you'll spend time with your loved ones. Queen Elizabeth passed away. Don't forget to send love to your grandparents, your grandmothers, of course, grandmothers, but your grandfathers as well. But no mkulu wants some love, little hug, maybe a little biyanyana, maybe a maheu, maybe some airtime. You know, go spend time with them. Go spend time with your grandmother. Learn some stories. Ask some questions, difficult questions, simple questions, you know, and learn from them and become a better human being. I love you guys very much, and I'll chat to you guys again soon. Pen you all the black pen. Have a great day. Cheers.